And welcome to the live stream Wednesday. I don't know why I'm feeling a little more energized right now, but I want to say what's up, all you crazy gecko people. But it's just you, Jaylene, Jaden. It's just us two right now. But appreciate you being here. Whitney's going to be joining us in a little bit. I'm going to be answering questions again and cleaning geckos and just hanging out and doing reptile talk. So, yeah, what's up, Sapphire? Good to see you. I'm going to take a second just to see who pops in and talk to you guys for a second before I grab any clean any geckos. We do have a reptile show coming up in a little less than 2 weeks now, so I'm gonna have to get prepared for that. We're not really selling much, but I do want to do a lot of like demonstration and showing cool animals. So definitely want to. I started to put together a list of all the animals that I could consider bringing to the show. So there's a lot of lemon frosts on there, like frosty Turks on there. There is probably some black knights. We'll probably bring some top quality black knights. I do have some ball pythons for sale. All 6 of our ball python babies have been eating phenomenally. They've taken their first 2 meals. They're going to hit their 3rd meal, and then they will be available. So if anyone is interested in ball pythons, let me know. We have some fire. We have some pastel. We have some lesser ball python babies that will be going up for sale. Jay Lee, Ash, Geckos Under the Mountain from the Philippines, really cool. I'm feeling pretty good. It's been busy times around here, so that's been kind of sapping at my energy a little bit, but the investment is worth it. We're becoming more and more sustainable as far as all the different things that, how should I phrase this? Sustainable as far as the amount of animals we're working with, the amount of babies we should be able to produce, and then feeding that whole supply, right? So we're also releasing a brand new set of shirts. So if you guys did not see yet, please check out our Instagram or Facebook. We have, we're going to be doing a black logo instead of a white logo and releasing that as our 2nd edition Geeky Gecko Creations shirts. So if anybody is interested in that, let me know before I place the order. And we could get you all squared away with what shirts you want, what color, etc. So here's the shirts again. This color will be available. It's called teal. It's pretty cool. I mean, I like the white logo, but I also like the idea of coming up with different. I like the idea of coming up with different designs. You know what I mean? So, my favorite gecko, huh? I have a lot of favorite geckos, but right now this is something I've really been astounded at over the last couple days while cleaning. It is the lemon frosts that we're working with around here, specifically the frosty Turks. So I didn't realize until today just how many frosty Turks that we have that are not showing any issues whatsoever. So it gives me more hope for the future concerning the morph or the gene that will be able to work with it. This one is an extraordinary example of brightness. I think it's really cool. Let me see if I could. So if you look at the yellowness on the belly, it's hard to see because the light's washing it out. But the normal Frosty Turk Lemon Frost, their belly is really, really yellow. What I'm really excited about is there have been these ghost-like Frosty Turks that I've been, mentioning on our social media platforms about you guys helping us name those and whatnot, right? And they are like Casper white, right? They're like Casper color. I'm trying to see if I know where one is. Here we go. It's like a Casper color. It's a completely different color than the normal lemon frost. It's absolutely amazing. So if I had to go with anything right now, I would say this. Look at that. Look at the Casperness of this. It's just like, now this one probably is going into shed, but it's still really, really white even when not going into shed. Yeah, I think this one is going into shed. But when I look at the belly color of this one, it just has that Casper yellow, like that ghost-like yellow. So I just find it truly amazing. This came out of the Frosty Turk and Frosty Turk and the Ghost Frosty Turk project. So I still have yet to like officially name this, but we are taking name recommendations. I'll talk to the original creator and see what he wants to do, you know, if he wants to name it together or create two separate lines, you know, whatever he wants to do. I'm pretty cool with. But you can see that it's just really pale. Now this one is going into shed, but it's normally just a pale, pale yellow, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, the Black Knights, you know. We do have some really dark Black Knights. So we don't have any geckos for sale right now, but the cheapest geckos we have will usually be between $50 to $100 when we do have geckos for sale. Here is our goal for Geeky Gecko Creations next year. I just want to produce a ton of geckos. Now, if anybody follows us on Instagram, you can see the quality we're working with. We're working with some very bright yellows. We're working with some very deep oranges. We're working with white and yellow. And then also wild types. And then also Black Knight and Lemon Frost. If I can just produce a ton of all of those geckos, I can offer really, really good pricing to somebody. You know, so just an example. Here's just an example, right? Let's say I have one gecko that's worth $100 and I have 3 geckos that are worth $50. If it's more difficult to sell the one gecko at $100, I'll just sell the 3 for $50 because it's more money, especially if it goes all to one person. So now let's use that same model when it comes to like, and I'm not promising this, but I would like to get here one day, right? Let's use that same model when it comes to Black Knight, right? Let's say I have one Black Knight that's $1,000, but it doesn't sell so quickly because that's a lot of money. But if I sell Black Knights at $500, I sell 3 of them like that because it's less money and people can afford it. So I'm not afraid of that, guys. So please stick around and follow us because I will offer like some amazing pricing as time goes on, as our collection grows. But that's why I just want to produce a ton of geckos next year so that I could just offer people really good pricing. And what that does is it allows people who normally couldn't get into a high dollar project, it allows them to get into the project, it allows them to work it, it allows them to share it with their friends and family, and ultimately grow grow the enjoyment of the hobby as a whole, you know? So we do have a website, geekygeckocreations.com. All of the geckos on our website are no longer for sale. It needs an update. We also have a Morph Market account, Geeky Gecko Creations. And as soon as we have some geckos for sale, trust me, I will be releasing it. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You will see announcements for what is for sale here. Actually, I want to do a video on this. First year females and what to expect. Let me see if I understood that question correctly. Talk about first year breeders for leopard gecko females, what to expect and what not to expect. For first year females, expect that their ovulation cycle can go on and off. For example, I have some first year girls that start their ovulation cycle, stop it within a couple of weeks, and then start it back up again in a couple of months later. I have other girls, first year girls, that start their ovulation cycle, everything goes according to plan, she breeds perfectly fine, but the majority of the eggs are just infertile. Then I have other first year girls that everything is perfectly normal and they lay just fine. So those are the things that you could expect for our first year breeder females. Travis, what is going on? Yeah, we have some ball pythons, Travis, and I know I think I have some messages that I haven't been able to get back to people on just because it's been a little bit busy over here, so I apologize if you've been asking me questions and I haven't responded. I usually always respond, even if it's not a question, even if it's you saying like something, I always respond like, oh, that's great, or you know, I put something there to let you know that I saw the message. It's just been pretty busy lately, but little by little, trying to get caught up. So, yeah, but we will have, we will have baby ball pythons for sale. Also, over the next couple days, I'll be releasing a video of 13 new ball pythons we're getting. We are bringing into the collection 13 high dollar brand new ball pythons tomorrow. I'm going to pick them up. So that's going to be really cool. If you know anything about our ball python collection, we have puzzle and we have ghost and we have puzzle ghosts. So we have a lot of puzzles here already, and we came across a really good deal for ghost. And so we picked up a group of breeder, baby, subadult, just a whole group of multi-gene ghost project ball pythons to inject into our puzzle project stuff so that we can continue to enhance that puzzle ghost project. So so we do keep our leopard geckos in a rack system. There's always people that say that you shouldn't, but I'll tell you my experience is if you put a baby leopard gecko in a big tank, there's always a chance that that leopard gecko is not going to find the food, not going to find the water, or just not thrive. I've had that happen before. When I put the little baby gecko into a small little tub, like a 6-quart tub, and sprinkle the food on the floor, make it easy for the gecko, they do fantastic. So that's what I do for all my problematic leopard geckos, is I make sure that they're set up in 6-quart tubs. And so leopard geckos in the wild, they live in caves. They feel protected when they feel, all sides of them encroaching in. If you have a leopard gecko in a big cage, you're going to notice that the leopard gecko is almost always in its hide, with the exception of maybe a few hours of the day where it's like out and about walking around. But leopard geckos have been kept in tubs like this for over 30 years in the United States, and we haven't noticed any issues. A matter of fact, we've noticed more pros than we've noticed cons, right? So the con is that the gecko doesn't have a lot of space to explore. The pro is that the gecko feels safe. It knows where its food is, water. It's easy to clean, and it's also easy to keep mass scale of animals. Oh, thank you, Jaden. Yeah, I would love to see the design when you're done. But yeah, I mean, there's so many cool things. I'm a breeder, so let's get this out the way. I breed leopard geckos. What I need is efficiency. I can't house 300 geckos in tanks, as much as it would be cool to see a gecko in a tank. I think it's cool to see a gecko in a tank. If you're only keeping one gecko, keep them in a tank. If you got a couple geckos, keep them in a tank. That choice is up to you. You can go either or. But as a breeder, I need efficiency, and that becomes my number one goal, along with the health of the animal. So as long as I can use efficiency and not compromise the health of the animal, now we're good. And that is the tub system. Tubs are small, they're easy to clean, they give the gecko everything they need, so the gecko stays clean and fresh in there. All of these tubs, there's never more than 3 poos inside of each and every one of these tubs. Every time there's 3 poos, the substrate gets changed and they get fresh substrate. So it's an easy way to keep everything really clean, Yeah, our adult leopard geckos are in 12-quart tubs. Our baby leopard geckos are in 6-quart tubs. LF geckos, I did just explain about what to expect with the first-year female gecko. If you didn't hear me, first-year females can be less fertile. They could be perfectly fine, or they can have a weird ovulation cycle that goes on and off throughout the year. Any of that can happen. I still breed them. So, but I have a lot of experience. So if a leopard gecko, if a female is around 40 to 45 grams, I will breed her. But that's because I have a lot of experience as far as knowing what to do if things go south. If things go south where that gecko stops eating and the eggs start to rob the gecko of its life, I know what to do. For beginner breeders, I would definitely suggest not breeding females unless they are 50 to 55 grams at the least. That would be my suggestion for newer breeders that don't know how to kickstart life back into a female that is starting to lose a lot of weight and a lot of her body mass because of the breeding season. And leopard geckos are not super bad. African fat tails, they lose a lot of their weight during breeding. For some reason, my gargoyle geckos, they lose a ton of weight during breeding. And that could just be because I give more attention to the leopards than I do the gargoyles. So maybe they need more frequent changing of their food or whatever the case may be. You know, my collection is mainly centered around desert species versus tropical species. But crested geckos and gargoyle geckos, you know, you want to make sure that they're definitely well stocked on food because they are typically smaller animals than leopard geckos weight-wise, and so they can start to lose a lot of weight and start to diminish pretty quickly. So we did have a couple baby leopard geckos. I can't pull them out right now because they're actually, this whole room is full and they're in an overflow rack right now, like on the top of the racks. I have to build another rack for this room. What is your opinion on keeping Leos in a rack with a big tub? A big tub is perfectly fine. Just make sure that the gecko has everything it needs in it. You know, a humid hide. Make sure it has a warm end, a cool end, access to food. Yeah, that's... Now, if you are housing babies in large tubs, not all the time, but sometimes you will notice that some babies are a little bit more picky and maybe they don't want to eat out of the bowl. So you have to drop their food on the floor. And then it makes it more difficult if the tub is big for the baby to find the food. So in cases like that, you want to put the baby into a small tub so that the food that's crawling around is literally right around the face of the gecko and it has no choice but to see it and eat it. If I was to sell a baby leopard gecko, I would advertise it on social media. So for me, that's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and also website and Morph Market. Those are the other two places. You could also try Craigslist and offer up as well, but you're going to get less money. What's up, Jacob? Can you breed a fat tail with a leopard gecko? To my knowledge, no. Their DNA sequence is too far. It's similar to like a horse and a donkey can breed. The reason that a horse and a donkey can breed is because their DNA sequence is close enough. Same with a lion and a tiger, their DNA sequence is close enough. Same with some species and subspecies of leopard geckos, their DNA is close enough. But species like humans and apes per se, the DNA varies too far to the point where you can't create you can't create like a viable offspring. So that's the same with like leopard geckos and fat tail geckos. To my knowledge, you're not going to create a viable offspring at all. Who mentioned crypto? Yeah, gargoyle geckos are really cool. I just love leopard geckos. Leopard geckos, they're ground dwelling. They have claws. They're more of like hunters. They come in more variety of colors and pattern manipulation. To me, I really enjoy keeping leopard geckos. So I know that there's another breeder out there called Tegus Geckos. He's really into cresteds and gargoyles. And I kind of think of myself, but he keeps some leopard geckos, and I kind of think of myself as the opposite. I'm more into leopard geckos, but I keep some crested and gargoyle geckos. What are you confused about? How ethical breeding works? I must have missed the question. Have you looked at our Punnett Square videos? Take a look in our video history. I'm a over explainer. So I have 6 videos on genetics and how it works. Line breeding versus Mendelian breeding. Within Mendelian breeding, there's recessive, there's dominant, there's incomplete dominant, there's codominant, there's homozygous, heterozygous. All of that I explain, and Punnett Squares. I explain all of that in our genetics series. If you need a link, go on our YouTube page and check out the different playlists that we have. I have a playlist there called Genetics. There's 6 videos in there. Watch all 6 of those videos. I go into extreme detail about how to use Punnett Squares and in every scenario that you need to use. It's really, really cool. You'll love, once you know how to do it, you'll love doing it. It's the funnest thing, messing around with Punnett Squares. Hey, Wally. Yeah, like this year we bought a leopard gecko from, we bought Magma. You know, we bought Magma from another leopard gecko breeder. So, yeah, I'll still, if there's good geckos out there, I'll definitely buy leopard geckos from somebody, you know, especially if those projects are farther along than where my project is, so that will jumpstart my collection by buying into this person's project. So. Yeah, Wally at Supreme Gecko, if you're into crested or gargoyle geckos, he's got a great channel. Also segues into isopods, because isopods are the cleanup crew a lot of times for crested gecko cages. And he does something really special for like November, December, where he does a bunch of giveaway stuff. So you could check out his Facebook, his YouTube, check out his channel. Cool, I think I'm all caught up with questions. Do you have any experience caring for a blind or semi-blind leopard gecko? I feel like I've had a baby or two that were not blind, but whose sight wasn't the best. Babies are tough, right? Because I've never actually force-fed a baby. I've force-fed adults, but I do everything in my power not to force-feed an animal. For example, you guys are going to run into this if you're breeding. You're going to get runted geckos or even black night leopard geckos that are born a little bit smaller sometimes, or geckos that are inbred so much to where the babies are just a little bit weaker. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Their genetics are just poor. They're weak when they first come out of the egg. For any of those scenarios, set the gecko up in a 6-quart tub, sprinkle the food on the floor, sprinkle the calcium powder over the food, put a Gatorade cap or something, a very shallow dish of water, and then if you can, a little shallow humid hive that they could climb up onto. Make it easy for them to survive, because sometimes they won't eat out of a bowl or they won't drink out of a tall water dish. So I make it easy on the gecko. Also, another thing I try is misting the sides of the tub or misting the top of the humid hide so they can lick water off of the surfaces around the enclosure, because sometimes they won't drink out of a bowl. If you have picky or weak genetic animals, those are some tips and tricks you could try, and that's what I would suggest for the blind gecko. I mean, if it's completely blind, you're probably going to need to force feed it, you know? Go on Amazon and buy something called small animal pipettes. or small animal syringes, something small enough to inject food into the snake. So, you gonna help? You're gonna help?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Whitney's here, guys. I might have to lower the camera a little bit.
No, they
Just
don't need to
kidding.
see me. What's up, guys?
So Whitney's gonna read questions so I can clean. I had a bunch of tasks that I needed to do today. I got everything done except cleaning the leopard geckos. So I got some leopard gecko cleaning done, but I got a bunch more leopard gecko cleaning to do. Whitney's gonna read questions so that I can answer and clean at the same time.
Hey, what's up, short people? Unite.
Where are you uniting at?
You don't know. You're not a short person. You're not invited.
I might be considered short in some cultures.
Maybe in a giant culture.
Okay, I never really thought I was short because when I was in high school I was like 5'9". But then, as a 20-something-year-old adult, I went to the doctor one day, and also LA Fitness, where they have the doctor scales there, and I measured 5'8.5". And I was like, now I'm officially short. So I consider 5'8 short, but I don't consider 5'9 short, even though they're only an inch apart. Let me clear this for you, hon. Let me get you the chair. Please don't touch my phone with those greasy fingers.
I'm not touching your phone.
Just don't look at me with those greasy hands.
Oh my god. They're not even greasy. Look. Plastic
I feel
covering.
like the grease is gonna ooze onto me if you just look at me like Medusa here. I'll
He is so OCD and paranoid.
I'll sit you in because, ooh, actually, oh yeah, let me turn this chair because I'm gonna be here cleaning. Can you go in more?
No.
Go in more.
I can't.
Go in more.
I can't.
Oh,
Effie.
That was me.
Oh.
What do you mean you can't? I don't understand why you can't.
This is as far as I can go.
Why? I don't understand.
Why?
There's more. I'm looking at more room right now. I'm literally looking. Why can't you go more than that? Oh, it's because of. Just say it. It's because of the metal thing. I didn't think it was there.
What metal thing?
Oh, so it's not there. So you can move in more.
What?
What's blocking
What are
you?
you talking about?
What's blocking you from going in more?
I don't know why you're so worried about it.
I'm not. Okay. I am going to start grabbing geckos, look over the questions, and run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Talk to the people.
Oh, can you grab my phone for trivia?
Nope. No trivia tonight.
Man,
I'll get it.
what a party pooper. I don't really watch the Country Music Awards, but thought you should know that tonight Country Music Awards is going on. So, Effie. And just had to push the cat off the table.
Where is your phone?
It's on the kitchen table.
Sure.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber's up for an award.
No, he's not. Justin Bieber is not up for an award on the CMAs.
I'm pretty sure he is.
No.
Someone, if you can verify for me, I'm pretty sure. I was just watching the commercials of it. There's like, there's Chinese people, of course, black people because they've been in country for a while. There's Justin Bieber and there's pop and there's rap country. So there's all different kinds of genres that are starting to infiltrate country. And they were talking about how some people don't want that. They just want country to stick to like what the original traditional country was. But many country artists are just starting to submit to these different genres coming in and, you know, popularizing what country music is, just because that's what society wants to hear. That's what the masses want to hear. You know what I mean? So I didn't see any Filipinos in country yet, but we will be. Jethro Tull. Old joke that no one will get. Well, maybe Frank, because I'm old. But I don't know who Jethro Tull is, Wally. Glad you could drop in, Derek. So, Whitney, keep up to date with the questions. And I'm going to grab some tubs for cleaning. Oh, there's the little girlie.
Justin Bieber joins Dan and Shay for debut live performance of 10,000 Hours.
So he's doing country
music. He earned a CMA Award nomination.
Which is that he's up for an award.
Yeah. But I didn't know he did a collaboration with Dan and Shay.
What song was it again? I forget.
10,000 Hours.
Oh, I don't know if I remember that song. Make sure Effie doesn't swallow this plastic. I watched a TikTok video today of a cat that ate a piece of blinds, and the blind was stuck in its body. They had to put it under and do surgery on the cat.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Who's cooking for Turkey Day?
We're still undecided on where I'm going to spend Turkey Day. Whitney, last minute, she's catching a family reunion that's happening in another state, and she really wants me to come, and I really want to go too. It's just, it kind of caught me off guard, and there's a lot going on this month with Thanksgiving with my family, and then also the show that's the week before Thanksgiving, the new snakes we're getting. There's just a lot going on, and I don't know. I know you need an answer soon, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. So I might be here alone again with just all the animals. I really want to go because I do have fun with the people that are there. And it is important to have fun, I think. You know, the good thing about owning your own business is you could push yourself as hard as you want to push yourself. Now, I tend to push myself pretty hard because I want the business to be as successful as quickly as possible, but I should stop and smell the roses. So I hope that could be a lesson for you guys that I can share, is that my weeks and days are just so consumed by work that I don't really take a lot of time for myself or like my loved ones, and you don't want to miss out on that kind of stuff, you know? So
well, then maybe you should take your own advice.
Maybe I will take my own advice. Yeah. I feel something in the back of my throat. This always happens to me after softball day because, you know, I go to play softball and I'm touching the same bat that a bunch of other people are touching, and it's usually late at night, and so I feel a little bit of like something in my throat, you know.
All right. Hyro says, why are leopard geckos more popular than African fat-tailed geckos?
Couple of reasons.
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Leopard geckos are easier to breed. Fat-tailed geckos, the females drop weight faster. I think they have less clutches. I'm not exactly sure, but they're easier to breed. They breed quicker. I think African fat tails, you're not going to breed those until they're like a year and a half old, I believe. And leopard geckos, you could literally breed at like 6 to 8 months. So they breed faster. They breed easier. They come in more colors. They're more popular. And this is a big one. They're much easier to feed. African fat-tailed geckos are notorious for only eating crickets. And I think maybe dubia roaches, but mostly crickets. And leopard geckos, are the simplest things in the world to eat. You buy a bunch of mealworms, you store those mealworms in the fridge, you take out a pinch of mealworms every time you need to feed your gecko once a week, and that's perfectly it. I also think they have slightly different like temperature and humidity requirements, but it's pretty close. But those are the reasons why. Other than that, African fat-tailed geckos are actually really pretty, and I started looking at them to see if I wanted to get into them. But no, at this time I don't want to deal with crickets and all that kind of stuff. I like my collection where it is. I can only spread myself too thin. I decided that tegus, ball pythons, and leopard geckos would be my focus 3 animals. Oh no, I was gonna say let's listen to the song that Justin did, but this video will get banned by YouTube. This gecko, when it hatched out, was like pink. It was really cool. Questions, son? People are talking.
I don't see very many questions.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking.
Okay.
You Nazi?
I'm a Nazi now. So yeah, same thing with Christmas. Now Christmas, I'm pretty sure is locked in place. I told Whitney that I would go with her because she didn't want to spend Christmas without me, and I don't want to spend Christmas without her. But yeah, I think I'll be gone 4 days over Christmas, and Whitney will be gone like a week or a little bit longer. But I was doing some calculations, like the most comfortable that I could be where I leave the operation is about 4 days.
Oh, sorry, scaredy cat.
Sweetheart. I love when you put a new bowl of mealworms into the cleaning tub, the spare cleaning tub that you're holding the gecko in, and the gecko starts eating it. It's crazy. But in addition to cleaning, care, and breeding of the geckos, I place a high expectancy on myself to make videos and content and stuff like that. So there's so many videos that I want to make and all that kind of stuff. And that's another reason why it's tough for me to travel, is because not only do I need to take care of the animals and breed the animals, but I also need to make content and edit content and all that kind of stuff. So.
All right. Shane says, what is your most genetically powerful gecko?
Ooh. Most genetically powerful gecko. Well, I really, really like... She's about to drop some eggs. I really, really like this girl because it's hard to tell on camera, but there's a good representation. In person, she's like a very reddish orange. She has these two red stripes going down the middle of her back that straddles that center hypo line. So I really like her, and I'm really excited to pair her with our most reddish orange boy, which is Magma. And you guys can see some of Magma's babies on Instagram. Normally, tangerine leopard geckos hatch out yellow with black pattern. We are starting to hatch out babies that are orange with black pattern. What does that mean? That means that if a tangerine baby is normally yellow and then turns orange over time, a baby that is already orange is going to become even more orange over time. So really excited about that. Thank you, Esteban, for the $10. I really appreciate that. That girl that I just showed was actually bred to this boy, which is her brother. I'm trying to get the angle that like shows his color the best. Their color is always better in person. He was our best tangerine male, but then I decided right after I bred him, I was like, you know what? I want to breed Magma to that girl. So I started breeding Magma to that girl instead. And I'll make this boy just a backup. But as far as genetic powerhouse, we have a Diablo Blanco Snow Giant. What else is he? Yeah, so Eclipse, Blizzard, Tremper albino, giant, snow. That's our most like powerful animal genetically wise as far as the most amount of genes in it. But what I really like, and you could check out our Instagram, is I love our Frosty Turk project, and specifically the Frosty Turks that are this Casper ghost-like whitish yellow. I love that, and I want to see if there's a lot of wiggle room to do some genetic playing around with there. These are lemon frosts at the end of the day, so they do have the lemon frost winter storm eyes, as I call them. If you look at the eye is just amazingly white and black. And then we have the traditional lemon frost leopard gecko, which is just super, super lemony and yellow. And I really, really love this guy. This one's super bright, like highlighter bright. Same thing with the eye. And then, yeah, so I would say my favorite projects, oh man. Here's the projects we work around here. Tangerine, white and yellow, wild types, because wild types are the future. Like, I love wild types. Lemon Frost and Black Knight. So those are like the main projects we work around here. I love all of those. And we do have some Black Knights that are becoming blacker than their parents, and I think that's amazing, and I look really forward to producing the most black babies that we can. So there you go in a nutshell.
All right.
There's questions.
Derek says, what about your Black Knight crosses in future price ranges, possibly next year?
So possibly next year. So I think we're going to have 50%, 75%, and 100% Black Knights next year. Depending on the quality of the Black Knight, we're probably going to be selling them anywhere from maybe like 300 to 1,300, somewhere in that range, you know. Yeah, and then as time goes on, I would like to get the Black Knight price down to like 500 as time goes on. But that's going to take at least another year for me to produce enough to where I can let them go for that price, you know. And of course, at this point right now, I'm still holding back the best of the best of the best so that I can always produce better in the future, you know. And that's good for you guys, because essentially I'm still bringing you great pricing, but now I'm bringing you the best quality possible that you could get, pretty much. And so in my mind, that's the route to go, is I just want to produce the best quality I can get and the most amount of numbers that I could produce, and then I can alter pricing, you know, and do things that are better, which is sort of what I did this year. You know, I took a bunch of geckos that I had listed for like $150, and I just sold them for $50 just because I was trying to get rid of them right away, make some nice deals for people, and clear up some space, you know.
Jaden, you want to trade a design for a Black Knight baby? Well, you can come and work for us, and then you can work off a Black Knight baby.
So the thing is, since we've only been in full business, so to speak, for 1 year. Like any business, a business needs to grow. The only way that a reptile business grows is by holding everything back for the first couple of years. So I know it seems like I'm really established and stuff because I have a lot of geckos and everything like that, but that's part of why I have a lot of geckos, is because I'm holding everything back. But there's going to come a time where I start releasing animals, and then that is going to set me in the right place to make consistent money as a business. As a business, to stay afloat, you need to make consistent money. To do that, you need consistent breeding. And to do that, you just need a bunch of animals. And so that's kind of what I'm working on right now, is the bunch of animals. So
Wally says, what best of the best qualities and traits should people look for when adding a Black Knight to the collection?
So, a couple things to know about Black Knights is they're severely inbred, which is the same as tangerines. Tangerines are pretty inbred as well. So when you start breeding tangerines together, what you start to see is stunted growth, short faces, short eyes, defects, shark mouth where the top of the mouth comes over the bottom of the mouth, clawed feet like you saw in my last video with little claw foot. So the same scenario that happened with tangerine applies to Black Knight. Black Knight needs to be outcrossed. My recommendation would be, if you're looking to get into Black Knight, buy the best quality blackness of a male that you could buy as a subadult or as an adult, and start outcrossing him to separate bloodlines, different bloodlines that are not Black Knight. Because then you could take those babies and breed them back to the father, and now you have 75% Black Knights that have fresher DNA in them. While doing that, if you want to pick up some 50% Black Knight crosses or some pure Black Knights, if you could afford it from other people, keep breeding for the blackest of the blackest of the blackest. So everyone's opinion is going to differ a little bit. I'm not too much of a stickler on the inbreeding thing. Like, I will inbreed as much as I can to get the best quality, even if that means that a couple of geckos are lost along the way. That's just the reality of it. So what I mean by that is, every single year, when you inbreed animals to each other, you're stacking the potential for weak genetics, meaning that babies could come out smaller, babies can die, etc., etc., etc. But I'm willing to take that chance in order to get the best color of an animal, which is, everyone's going to have their different opinion on that. Some people are going to tell you you should not do things that way. But that's the way that I like to do things. That's the way I am doing things. At the same time, I'm creating other lines of Black Knight. So I have a heavily inbred line of Black Knights where some babies come out smaller. Some babies might be a little bit weaker genetically when they're born. But out of that group, I get the blackest of the blackest of the blackest stuff. And because of that, I could take the blackest of the blackest of the blackest stuff, and I can breed it to 50% quality stuff that are in completely separate bloodlines, and therefore I can now create Black Knights that have fresh blood, so. But if you're just getting started into Black Knight, I warn you about the project, because the project is heavily inbred. So when you buy an animal, you might spend $1,500 to $2,000 to $3,000 on an animal, and it might not give you the results that you're looking for, because maybe it winds up being too small to breed, or maybe this, or maybe that. That's why I actually suggest that you buy adults. I would suggest you buy adult, proven breeder, if possible, Black Knights. Because if you buy a baby Black Knight, that Black Knight can turn out to be less black as an adult. It could die before it's ever breeding age. I would go, if you're like me and you don't have money growing on trees in your backyard and every dollar is important, you want to protect your investment as much as possible. To do that, buy adults that are proven breeders. Geckos, etc. has a bunch of adult Black Knights that he sells. Some of them are better quality than others. They're going to be higher dollar than babies, but at least you're working with adults that are proven to thrive, proven to breed, and make sure you ask him, hey, have these animals bred before, Another example or potential example of inbreeding, the chameleon tail, as I call it. Boom. It's a curly tail. I don't even know if that one is inbred, to be honest. Don't think that inbreeding automatically causes defects. Sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes inbreeding causes problems. Sometimes it doesn't cause problems. Sometimes normal breeding causes problems, you know? So but yeah, also talking about the quality of an animal, sometimes you just don't know, right? You might have a perfect looking animal, like physically, but maybe it's infertile. Maybe it doesn't have fertile sperm or fertile eggs. And then you could have like a short, stumpy animal that winds up being a great breeder, a great producer. But in general, the signs that you're looking for in leopard geckos are long faces, full eyes, not eyes that look crinkled or shortened a little bit like you see with tangerines sometimes, because tangerines are heavily inbred, and long bodies, not short faces, not short bodies. And that was one of the biggest issues with lemon frost. In the beginning, they were all heavily inbred to each other, so they developed these really short faces, which made their eyes look really, really big, and their bodies were short and stumpy, and then they were growing tumors, you know, on top of them because they're heavily inbred. But now, as we're out crossing the lemon frost, long faces, no, properly symmetrical, perfectly shaped eyes. Their bodies are long and no longer stunted, and we're just not seeing tumors, right? We're not seeing the issues that people claim exist with this morph. So more to be done on that before I make any official statements. I would love to have hundreds of animals that I can show you, you know. That's why I was looking at, like, which lemon frost do I want to bring to the show this November to show the best of the best. And I started going through my collection, and every single one is fantastic quality. So I started putting all of them on a list, and I'm going to have to choose whichever ones I want to choose. But don't listen to just one source. You know, get multiple people's sources, multiple people's opinions. I've already tried to talk about lemon frost with so many of the other breeders. Not a lot of people want to talk about it. People just want to set it and forget it. They just want to forget lemon frost ever exists. But I think there's so much more knowledge to be gained from that, as well as lessons to be learned about inbreeding. Same thing with black knight and tangerine. So those are my warnings about black knight. It's a heavily inbred project. Don't get into it unless you're okay with losing the money. If you could spend $2,000 and then those animals die or don't produce for you and you're perfectly fine with that, buy into it. If it's going to hurt you, that risk is up to you. Sometimes in life, no risk, no reward. Low risk, low reward. High risk, high reward. I have this conversation with Whitney all the time because we're not millionaires, we're not rich, right? So, don't I, hun? I have this conversation with her all the time. And I'm like, honey, if we don't take any risk, if a business doesn't, I'm all about protecting your assets. Trust me, I'm a conservative person. But there are instances where you do have to take risks. Calculated risks. What is a calculated risk? Okay, so if you go to somebody and there's an adult black knight male for $1,000 that has never bred before, and then you go to somebody else and there's an adult black knight male, same quality, for $1,500 that is a proven breeder. So it's $500 more. What's the better calculated risk? The better calculated risk is to go with the animal that has a proven track record. Same thing goes with who you're getting the animal from. Does the breeder know the parents? Does the breeder know the siblings? Can the breeder give you some information about that animal? Can the breeder answer every question you have about that animal? You know, those are the things that you want to look for. Calculated risk. Does the breeder have a good reputation? All of that kind of stuff. I'll quit talking so Whitney can keep guiding the...
I'm not sure. You might want to look at this question.
What's the question?
Okay. Hey, is it okay if a gecko from 2009 September 3rd 03 and a gecko from 2009 08 03?
A gecko from 2019 and a gecko from 2019 August and 2019 September. Hey, is it okay if a gecko... I'm guessing you're asking if it's okay if a gecko breeds that are from 2 different years or 2 different months. The answer is yes. As long as both geckos are breeder size and like perfectly healthy enough for breeding, you could breed a 10-year-old gecko to a 1-year-old gecko. There's no issues there. Well, the issue is the older the geckos get, the less fertile their reproductive system becomes. So that's your choice. But if you only had the option, it's all possible. Yes, correct. I think Ron Tremper bred his oldest male at like 25 years old. He recorded females breeding at 15 years old. So different males and females are going to do better or worse for you depending on their age. You know, it just depends. Every gecko is different, just like every human is different.
Okay, so Brenda says, how do you do deworming without having to take individuals to the vet? Because if she took everyone, it would cost thousands of dollars.
Now, just so you know, there are some people that deworm their entire collection once a year. I don't do that. I just monitor my animals. If any animal dies from skinniness, like from not eating or something like that, I will throw everything away from that animal so that I'm trying to maintain as healthy of a collection as possible. If you want to deworm your own collection, I would suggest researching videos on how to do this, but you can go to a website called beardeddragon.co. I went there recently and I bought dewormer stuff. Beardeddragon.co is a place that you can buy coccidia dewormer. You could buy general panicure dewormer. I think just deworming everything is not necessarily best for the animal. From what I've heard, all of that stuff like strips the animal's natural like immunities and immune system and all that kind of stuff, and it could actually throw things off imbalance wise. I don't know. That's just one of the things that I've heard. I have a great friend out here that deals with bearded dragons. He treats all of his bearded dragons once a year with panicure. Once or twice a year with panicure. And that is a dewormer. He does that as protocol. I don't do that. I keep a manual eye on all of my animals. If any animals are sick, I separate them. If that animal dies, I throw away everything that belonged to that animal. That's how I manage my operation, and we have very few issues, if any, at any one given point. But if you want to go down the dewormer road, beardeddragon.co will allow you to order accessories and supplies that relate to deworming animals, and then you'll just have to research on YouTube or ask breeders that have experience with that of what procedure to go through, you know?
So, Brenda says, to be honest...
Oh, one sec.
Can you guys imagine, like, what would you think if Justin Bieber won a CMA award? Like, what would you think? I would be... I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about that. Okay, so Brenda says, to be honest, I'm not sure about breeding next year. Maybe getting out of it totally. I lost 4 females due to parasites, and I dewormed.
Yeah, I mean, deworming is not a guarantee, which is another reason why I don't send off tests to the lab. You know, Gecko Boa, great guy. He tests his whole collection like before. He's tested his whole collection in the past. He also runs tests on new animals that he brings in. The problem with that is he even spoke about this. You could get a test that gives you incorrect results. For example, the test could tell you that that gecko is positive, but it's really negative. That's called a false positive. The test was wrong. And so as you test that gecko 3 times, over the course of 3 times, you'll find out whether that gecko is actually positive for the parasite you're trying to test it for or not. There's also something called a false negative, meaning that if you get a gecko that tests for parasites as negative, it could still have parasites. So in my opinion, that's why I don't mess with all of the testing stuff, because to me, this is just me, it's not worth it. If you could have false positives and false negatives, I would rather just keep an eye on my collection. The geckos that pass away, I take note of that gecko's lineage, where that gecko came from, any accessories that touch that gecko, and I deal with everything appropriately, whether that means throwing it away or whether that means giving it a good cleaning before I reuse it for another gecko, whatever that case is. That's the way that I like to deal with things. But yeah, going back to your, I'm sorry you've had that bad experience. Just so you know, I've had almost 400 geckos now over the last 3 years, and I never confirmed any of these geckos pass away from parasites, but I've only had a couple of geckos pass away. The majority of my collection is completely fine. 99% of my collection is completely fine. So you might have just had a bad experience with where you got these geckos from, or a bad experience of who, even if you got them from different people, maybe it was just severely bad luck that you just inherited geckos that happen to have diseases and die. Another thing, most leopard geckos, from what I read, actually do have parasites inside of their body. It's only when the parasites become unmanageable through stress of breeding or stress of not eating, whatever that case may be, that the animal might start to suffer. Might, not definite. So I would encourage you to keep your head up. You might have just had a really bad experience. Maybe you should just start your whole collection over, like throw everything away or deep clean everything, and let it sit for a couple of months, because any parasite babies die within a couple of weeks pretty much. So, unless it's crypto, which could kill your animal, then it takes a couple of months for those babies to die. Maybe you want to wait a couple of months and then slowly add one animal at a time, always from reputable people. If you're just getting animals off of Craigslist or animals off of Morph Market and you don't know the breeders, and the breeders can't assure you that this animal is healthy and it comes from a healthy collection, then that could be an issue as well. You're kind of just rolling the dice on where you get these animals. So I would suggest buying, start if you want, clean everything, wait 2 to 3 months before bringing in any new animals. When you bring in new animals, bring in animals from big trusted breeders, right? Geckos, etc., Suburban Gecko. I'll be honest with you about any question you ask me regarding the gecko's lineage. Supreme Gecko, Geckopia, Luna Geckos, all of these companies I know for a fact carry healthy geckos. And like Gecko Boa, like I'm comfortable with all of these companies, right? And so that doesn't mean that something can't happen. It doesn't mean that something can't happen. It just means that you're more likely to get an upfront answer, and you're more likely that things are going to go in your favor. So
if you can,
when leopard geckos were first getting started in the United States, the majority of them, I heard, had crypto. Crypto is a non-curable parasite that will absolutely kill your animal as that animal goes through stress across its life. Over time, we've been able to just let those geckos that had crypto die off, but there's still probably a ton of geckos floating around that have crypto. It's just that the crypto doesn't really strike unless the gecko is stressed. So maybe that's another good reason for keeping geckos in tubs and stuff, is none of these geckos are apparently stressed because they're not, showing any signs of crypto. Anyway, I rambled on a lot about that topic. Let me know if I didn't hit your points or whatever.
Effie.
Trying to live with the cat is like... Of course, the cat sees that I am walking and just decides to lie right down in front of where I'm walking. Okay, there. She's going back to her catty corner now. All right, what I miss?
Yeah, I don't know why geckos poop in their hides.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Well, Brenda's saying that, her geckos are still pooping in the hides.
Yeah, I probably get 10 to 15% of our geckos poop in their hides. So it's a fairly lower number. So if I have 100 geckos, I'm looking at about 10 that are pooping in their hides. Yeah, catty corner, you like that one? You can try to train the gecko to poop somewhere else by taking the gecko's poo and putting it in a different location of the tub. If that doesn't work, then unfortunately that gecko is just always going to poo in the hide. You could try moving the hide. But for me, I've just settled into the fact that, hey, some geckos poop in their hides, and I'm just going to get used to that. And every single week when I clean, I change out their eco-earth. So they are robbing me a little bit of money, but what can you do?
Yeah, thank you guys for your support, for tuning in every live stream. Thank you for those likes and all of your donations. Like, we really, really, really very much appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it's kind of hard for me sometimes to express how excited I am about, this business, this company, moving forward. And when I say business and company, I really mean my passion for reptiles, because that's what this business is. There are a lot of people that want to look down upon reptiles or animals being a business. But the reality is, unless there's a business, there will never be good quality animals, because you'll never be able to produce at an affordable level the animals that people want. For example, the only reason that Petco is able to buy animals is because they buy them at $10 a piece. And the only reason that you fell in love with animals, or I fell in love with animals, is because we first saw them at a pet store that was buying them for $10 a piece. But if they're buying them for $10 a piece, then that means that the breeder needs to be producing them in mass quantities to make a sustainable living, because of the amount of time, resources, and energy it takes to produce geckos at $10 a piece. So, you see what I mean? How the whole system supports itself. You can't just say, oh, I don't agree. This is my opinion. You can't just say, I don't agree with wholesale, but I do agree with retail. Because you can't really have one without the other. In a supportive economy, in an economy, both markets support themselves. So the wholesale market gets people into animals, and then the retail market allows people to niche down and make themselves focus on certain types of animals and certain bloodlines of animals and genetics to go even farther than that. To me, they both go hand in hand. And you really can't have one without the other. So there are going to be people that disagree with that, but that's just kind of my perspective on it.
So, Gecko Gang says, how big are your tubs in centimeters?
So our adult leopard gecko tubs are 15 inches long, which is about 30 centimeters long, 10 inches wide, which is about 20 centimeters wide, and about 6 inches high, which is 12 centimeters high. And I just saw Wally donate something. That's really cool.
Thank you so much for the $10, Wally. You are awesome.
Thank you, Wally. Love your passion and your ability to educate. You too. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you. Again, if you don't follow Wally, he is a great example to follow. He has another, everyone has a different personality, a different way they run their business and everything. And it's really cool to tap into all of these different personalities and all of these different content creators. He is a content creator. Don't be surprised by his age when you first see him, because he is an OG that is up with the modern times, and I always give him credit for that because
You downright call him an old
OG. He's an original gangster. He's been around a long time. He was into leopard geckos before I was even into leopard geckos, but now he specializes more in isopods, crested geckos, and I think maybe some gargoyle geckos. I pulled the age. Wally, I pulled the age card so that people will give you credit, because how many 50-year-olds... Are you 50? He might be older, but I'm calling you 50 because I think that that's going to be a compliment to your actual age. But how many 50-year-olds... what I'm saying is he looks younger. You look younger, Wally. You're youthful. The animals keep you youthful. How many 50-year-olds... How many 50-year-olds know how to use social media? Know how to use Instagram, have a large following on YouTube. Whitney, stop him. Wally knows how to edit videos. He knows how to capture an audience. I give him credit for that. Everything I'm saying is to give you credit for it, in spite of being around when the dinosaurs first roamed the earth.
Oh!
So. That's how Wally got into reptiles. His first reptile was a velociraptor. Just kidding. I'm just being silly. But in reality, that would be really cool. All right, Wally. Love you, brother. Thank you so much for the donation and coming in and supporting, helping with questions, prompting great questions out of me to respond. So appreciate it. 27-year-old Wally, yeah.
Yeah, everybody go check out Wally's YouTube page and see how OG he is.
He's an OG. I love him.
Speaking of old, me and technology does not always mix, guys.
So here is one of our Frosty Turks that is now a year and a half or almost 2 years old. You can see it just has, it's not a bubble spot. It's not a bubble at all, but it's one like bright patch of skin on one side where sometimes they are known to develop tumors. We can't officially call it a tumor because it's just similar right now to like a mole on you or I, right? A mole, I think, by definition, is just a concentration of pigment cells. And so that could literally be all that it is for this guy. It's the one spot that he has anything on him. Other than that, this beauty is perfect. He is a Frosty Turk Generation 3. You can see the spot right there. It's flat. It wrinkles, which it wouldn't be doing necessarily if that was a tumorous location right now. So things are looking good. Again, Turkmenicus geckos. Look how long and lengthy his face is. The body is long and lengthy. The tail, everything is looking healthy on this gecko. Looking good.
All right, Brenda says,
Be right back.
okay.
Sorry, sometimes I just have to rinse things, but...
Brenda says, I have to find it.
Be right back. Huh?
Brenda says, do you need an incubator or can you hatch without?
You can hatch without as long as you keep the eggs in a temperature zone that is between 77 to 78 at the lowest. I'm sure geckos can hatch below 77, but the lowest I've ever hatched geckos was 78. And then the highest you want to go is 90. So if you could find a room of your house or a closet, anything that stays between 78 to 90, you're gravy.
You're gravy, guys.
You're gravy.
You heard it. You're gravy.
Gravy.
Frank is the father of leopard geckos, and Wally is the father of crested geckos and isopods.
That's awesome. I'm so young in the game to be called that is pretty admirable. So appreciate that.
So do we have any specific sayings that Jaden could design?
Have a geeky gecko great day. That's like our most popular saying. So
yeah.
What kind of design work does Jaden do?
So she does. Let me go back.
Here's another Generation 3 Frosty Turk. We'll probably be releasing a lot of Lemon Frost babies next year, probably. Because we are seeing pretty good results with it. Some people want to get into the project and whatnot. They want to have some of that species, you know, so
she does graphic design, just anything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and Jaden has offered her time as a volunteer. Just shows how much we appreciate all you guys.
That's really cool. And I do have like a couple of our logo designs if you feel like you want to use that, or if you want to just use your creativity to create like a ball python, a tegu, and a gecko kind of animation. Our saying is have a geeky gecko great day. That's like the saying that we use. That's awesome, Jaden. Thank you for even just the thought of that, being willing to put in the time. That's really cool. In the future, we might even be able to like put your designs like on our clothing, on some shirts and stuff, and sell some of that. So our first edition shirts are white logo. I have a couple of those left, but if anybody would like, check out our community tab here, or check out our Instagram or Facebook. I have like 20 different shirt colors you could pick from of our second edition colored logo, which is a black logo on the different color shirts. It looks pretty cool. I'm going to be ordering a batch of those coming up soon, so please let me know if you want any, and I can get your order in along with mine. You can pre-order with me. So I'll see questions. Whitney doesn't have to work tomorrow, so that's great. She is not under too much pressure to end us early.
No, I'm not. But we have been going for over an hour.
Oh, yeah. We'll go a little bit longer. Right? You guys want to go a little bit longer? There's still 18 faithful people here. Hate to do it, but gotta run and work on a video. All right, check out Wally's YouTube channel. Subscribe to Supreme Gecko. It appears that he's going to be releasing a video soon. He has great educational content, guys. Just a great guy all around. So thank you so much, Wally, for being here and supporting us. And we will see you soon.
Bye, Wally. Effie, get down.
She can stay there. That's where she was earlier today. This gecko has absolutely nothing except the even smaller bright patch right there on the back of the thigh. Again, that could be likened to a mole on you or I. Like I have black hair here, but I have I have a mole on my right cheek, and that's just a concentration of pigment cells, right? So same thing with this. It could just be a concentration of those bright pigmented cells. It doesn't mean that it's going to turn into a tumor. As of right now, it's not tumorous. So.
Yeah. So as on the topic of of people having workouts tomorrow. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, so we want to say a big thank you for your service to all of the veterans, any veterans that you know, all the veterans that we know.
Yeah, very true.
At my elementary school that I teach at, we had a big school-wide veterans demonstration this morning, and I'm very proud of my students that sang the national anthem. They did very well. So thank you all the veterans.
Yeah. Yeah, we love our vet support, you know, and when we are selling stuff, we do veteran discounts, so.
Yep, veteran discounts.
When we're selling, but we're all sold out for right now. But over the next probably 6 months, we should have a lot of geckos going into selling, so. I always look at geckos as a 6 to 12 month plan, right? Because if you have 300 female leopard geckos, like we do approximately, all of those females are going to go at different times of year. But in general, you're going to get eggs out of every single one of those females for the most part sometime over the next 12 months. So when I'm talking to Whitney about financial projections and whatnot, I'm always telling her, look, hon, here's what we could make this year. I always make it based on a yearly projection because you never know. Things might go wrong with a couple of females, and then you might have to wait on the other females that come after them. What's the question about the Tegus? I saw a question about Tegus.
How hard is breeding Tegus?
Breeding Tegus is not hard as long as you have... The only reason I keep Tegus is because I have outdoor caging. If I had to keep Tegus inside, I really don't think I could deal with it. The amount of dust that they kick up and the amount of activity level that they have, it would just make it too difficult for me. But because we're in Arizona, we could keep them outside pretty much 8 to 12 months out of the year. And it's just like leopard geckos. As soon as they wake up from brumation, because they do brumate, you put the male and the female together, they will start eating together, they will start recouping their fuel, and they'll start breeding right away. And then as soon as that female is getting ready to lay, you could tell that she's getting ready to lay because she's big and plump. Remove the male as soon as you see that she is gravid, like she's big and plump. Easy.
Weren't we going to talk about lizard venom?
I think so. Yeah, Apex isn't here to keep us on track. I'm going to have to scold him for it when I see him. Just kidding. All the lizards that are known to have venom, is that what we were talking about?
If there is a lizard that you know of that has venom, drop it in the comments.
So last week we had a discussion about venomous lizards, how the classification for venomous lizards is starting to expand. More lizards are starting to be proven to have some venom secretion and whatnot. So if you know of a venomous lizard, drop it in the comment and we will mention it. Originally, it was thought that only 2 lizards were venomous. Which 2 are they? Jaden got one of them, the Gila monster, and then there's another North American lizard that were thought to be the only 2 venomous lizards in the world, but recently have been proven that they're not the only 2 venomous lizards in the world.
Hey, Lawrence from the Philippines says, aside from gender, is it true that temperature affects the phenotype of the gecko?
Oh, that is a great question. So there are tons of people that will say this only applies to Tremper albino, which is weird, which is why I don't really put a lot of faith into it. The fact that it would only apply to one specific genetic morph and possibly Black Knight, I don't know, more testing to come on the Black Knight. But the theory is that if you incubate geckos at higher temperatures, they're brighter than if you incubate geckos at lower temperatures, are darker. So I've hatched out plenty of bright geckos at lower temperatures, and time will tell as I put this into experimentation for my own record, because nobody has any real data out there, right? And I might sound like a broken record at this point. If you know me, you know I go on these rants about data. Please don't take it like I'm going on a rant against you. If anything, I'm going on a rant against the people that are hostile towards me. There are a bunch of people that are hostile towards us over here, me and my perspective, that says that we don't need to show you data. All you need to do is believe our word, right? Think about that for a second. There's a ton of big breeders in leopard geckos, big breeders, the people who have dominated the market for 20 years. And their response to you as a smaller breeder who's trying to learn is, your only option is to listen to me. I don't have any data that I can show you. All I can tell you is what I know, and you listen to me. If you don't listen to me, then you're foolish. That's their whole perspective. What I would like to do is change that and start recording what is called data, right? So, for example, one of the things that we're working on right now is the lemon frost. There are so many people that think that if you have a lemon frost, you're automatically going to get a gecko with tumors. You know why? Because if you ask any of the big breeders, they're going to tell you, oh, lemon frost is prone to tumors. But they won't tell you the percentage. They won't tell you the ratio. They won't tell you the severity of the tumors. And they won't tell you what happens if you outcross the geckos instead of inbreeding the geckos. They won't tell you any of that data. They just don't want you messing with the gene because it doesn't fit into their plans. So they want to control you and prevent you from going down a road that they don't want you to go down. So they don't have data, and they try to prevent you from going down that road. Complete wrong approach, in my opinion, to growing a hobby and maintaining a hobby. So what we're doing to change that is we're actually experimenting, and we are recording data as we experiment. So getting back to your original question, it's theorized, I've heard from people that Tremper albino and maybe Black Knight leopard geckos that are incubated at higher temperatures will be brighter compared to leopard geckos that are incubated at lower temperatures. I have yet to really see absolute proof of that. I've never seen any proof of that, okay? And what I mean by proof is you need a statistical pool of geckos that can be observed or experimented on. You can't just do it on one gecko. You can't just do it on two geckos. It has to be numerous geckos over numerous years, and nobody has that kind of data available. But there is the theory. What I can tell you is that I have absolutely hatched some amazing quality geckos at 78 degrees. At 78 degrees, I've hatched some super nice Tremper albino bright leopard geckos. So, does it really matter? And then the second question is, if the leopard gecko comes out brighter based on hatching it at a higher temperature, does that mean its genetics are brighter? Look at my skin color. I am what some would call a mocha tan brown. Is that what you would call me? Yeah. I'm a mocha tan brown. When I'm tan, when the summertime comes, I'm a straight brown. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna produce brown babies, because my natural skin color is not brown. My natural skin color is kind of like a milky tannish brown. It's the same with the leopard geckos. If a leopard gecko is bright, because it was incubated at higher temperatures, does that mean that its DNA is actually bright? Or does that mean that it was just a reaction to something during incubation that made its color bright, and that is not, again, not passed downable to the babies? So then what's the point of even incubating it higher if it's not passed downable to the babies, unless you're having a reptile show where you want to like show off the brightest of the geckos, which we don't have here in America. They have that in other countries. They will actually do shows, and they will give out certificates and whatnot for like the brightest or the best looking animal, and you win, like best in show. But we don't do that in America. So
let's see. I was looking at reptile facts and it took me to fish facts.
yeah, it's tough to find all the venomous reptiles right now, but just so you know, Komodo dragons were proven recently to actually have venom glands in their jaws. So it's not only their saliva and the bacteria in their saliva. What's going on? Apex is here. Did you do your homework, Apex, and find for us venomous animals? We were just talking about that. Venomous reptiles. So Komodo dragons have venom glands in their jaw. The Komodo dragon is a monitor lizard, which means that I think Whitney was reading last week, there was another species of monitor lizard that was discovered to have venom glands in its jaws as well. Apex. Okay. Apex Geckos is a great friend and supporter of this channel. Many of you guys know him. For those of you who don't, he got his name because he likes to play the game Apex. So how many of you guys play Apex Legends? I just started playing a few months ago, and now I really love it. In between my day of cleaning, I'll take a break and go and play some Apex. The new season just dropped, and it's like Turok. It's like being in Jurassic Park meets Turok. It's amazing. If you don't play Apex Legends and you like first-person shooter games, you got to try it. There are some tips to becoming decently good at the game so that you're not just dying all the time and it's not just super stressful. Most people who first start, if they don't know the tips, they just die too much and they give up because it's got a steeper learning curve than most first-person shooter games. There's a bunch of things that you need to know about the game mechanics that if you don't know that, you're going to get discouraged and probably quit. So just ask Apex or ask myself if you're trying to get into Apex Legends, and we'll guide you the right way with tips and tricks. But I am now starting to get decently okay in Apex to the point where I can hold my own. I'm not dying all the time. I'm winning some matches. My rank is constantly improving. So,
all right, the beautiful sand goanna monitor.
Yes, sand goanna, which is a sand monitor.
Excellent eyesight during the day, but they are night blind as their retinas are purely composed of cone cells and lac rods, which are the low light receptor cells responsible for night vision in other animals.
That is not venomous.
So, that's debatable, but it says. But I wonder why it was not granted any night vision. I wonder why.
That means that if it's not granted night vision, that means that the animal is meant to thrive during the day. If you know anything about sand goannas, which is sand monitor, they are vicious, vicious hunters, and they hunt during the day. It's similar to like the Parenti monitor that Steve Irwin was always so famously known for. So that's a really cool fact, hun. I didn't know that, but geckos are meant to hunt during night or like darker hours, right? But sand monitors, they kill during the day. So everything that's geared in their predatory senses are meant for sleeping at night and hunting and thriving during the day. So that's really interesting stuff. Did you get to questions?
There aren't really any questions.
Really? I beg to differ. I see people commenting.
So, we already answered this question earlier about how big the tubs are.
We got to answer it again. Sometimes new people come in.
Alright. So, in centimeters, how big
In centimeters again?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. So, in case you missed it earlier, in centimeters, these tubs for adults are about 30 centimeters long, 20 centimeters wide, and 12 centimeters high. The babies are about 20 centimeters long, 16 centimeters wide, and 8 centimeters tall. Those are approximations.
Okay. So, Hyro says, have you heard about the new morph of amber eye leopard gecko?
I have, yes. It's actually not that new. If I'm thinking of the correct thing. There's Eclipse. There's Marble Eye. Amber Eye. Yeah, if you read about Amber Eye on Ron Tremper's website, so if you search Amber Eye Leopard Gecko, you'll probably be taken to, I think, the man that discovered it, which is Ron Tremper himself. Right before he retired, he wrote some information about it that's on his website. So yes, I have heard about it. I am not currently working with it. I don't have any desire to work with it. I haven't seen anything crazy that it does to the point where I want to work with it at this point, right? You guys know me. I'm all about Black Knight and creating the blackest leopard gecko. I'm all about Tangerine and creating the reddest leopard gecko. I'm all about white and yellow and creating the most contrasted leopard gecko. I'm all about Lemon Frost and creating a clean leopard gecko. I'm all about wild types and creating some diverse bloodline leopard geckos. I'm all about those projects. Those are my focuses that I really, enjoy. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy Amber Eye and whatnot. I just don't think there's enough to work with there. I'm not an expert on it, but I think when I read about it, I wasn't really impressed with it, so I didn't really pursue learning it anymore. So, Black Bloods. I don't know. Did I call something a black blood? Did I call something a black blood? I know there's black blood Tegus, but if you're referring to a black blood leopard gecko, it's not sticking out in my head right now. What a black blood leopard gecko would be. Could that be a Black Knight Tangerine? I don't know. Questions? Fun?
Alright.
There might be a couple questions. Oh, Whitney's reading reptile facts.
So, Quentin says, how do you tell if a super snow blizzard has eclipse?
That's easy. So, super easy. If a gecko has eclipse, the color will be reduced. So that's tough to tell in a super snow, right? But the color will be reduced. The yellow and the orange coloration and the red coloration, it will be dialed down. So it's a lighter color, number one. Number two, it will have 50% shaded in eyes, 100% shaded in eyes, 25% shaded in eyes, or anything of that nature. Number three, it will tend to have a white tip of the nose, white tips of the feet, and a white tip of the tail. That's the eclipse gene. If you don't see those markers, then the Eclipse gene is not showing in the animal, but it might be het for Eclipse. It might be carrying 1 copy for Eclipse. But for Eclipse to show, it needs to be carrying 2 copies of Eclipse. Hope that helps.
Okay, before we answer more questions, I'm just going to throw a trivia question.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so which ancient ruler was thought to have worn ball pythons around their wrist as a bracelet? Caligula, Nero, Caesar, or Cleopatra?
Ooh, I think I know which one it's going to be.
Which one was thought to have worn ball pythons around their wrist as a bracelet?
Which ancient ruler was thought to have worn ball pythons around their wrist as a bracelet?
Caligula,
Caligula,
Nero, Caesar, or Cleopatra?
Nero, Caesar, or Cleopatra.
All right. So
put your guesses in now.
Brenda says, does anyone know where I can find a chart or something to show more of the leopard gecko eyes? I found one, but it's in Russian.
I would go to Ron Tremper's website. Just type in like amber eye leopard gecko or type in Ron Tremper website. There's a different lady that runs his company now that he sold it to, but his website I think is still called leopardgecko.com. I think he got the actual website leopardgecko.com. He has different examples of amber eyes and whatnot on there. But yeah, you see, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about is... Oh, you could also go to geckoboa.com. I think he has a whole genetics page. But there's thousands of leopard gecko breeders that have been doing this for 10 to 20 years. Why is there not more up-to-date genetic information and charts and all that kind of stuff? You know, we're going to be seeking to do our part to put together that stuff as time goes on. But I just started a year ago. Why haven't the people that have been in the hobby for 15, 20 years, why haven't they put together like thorough and extensive stuff like this to answer people's questions, right? One reason could be that they just want you to come to them, if you even know who they are, so they could kind of control you, manipulate you, right? But I don't know. I think it's crazy. I think we need more documentation and more content in the leopard gecko hobby, which is why we're trying to do our part to do that. But geckoboa.com, Suburban Gecko, I think, has some genetics information, and Ron Tremper's website, leopardgecko.com.
And the answer is Cleopatra.
That would have been my guess.
Cleopatra wore ball pythons around her wrists.
Look at this beautiful pure Turkmenicus. It's just so light, purple.
So, when he says black blood, he means black knight blood.
Oh, Black Knight Blood. Yeah, we're really excited about that project. But Brenda, Ron Tremper's website should have it, leopardgecko.com. He's the creator of the blue amber eyes. I think there's some new people. If you go to Strength in Leos, he has a YouTube and an Instagram. The last podcast that he did, it sounded like that breeder was doing a lot of work with amber eyes. I couldn't really tell. I have yet to finish the podcast, but Strength in Leos, he might know somebody who has more information on blue amber eyes because he talks to a lot of other bigger leopard gecko breeders. And I think Kevin's Geckos was the guy he was interviewing, and also Miles from Impeccable Gecko. It was like one of his last 2 interviews, right? If you listen to that, they start mentioning the word like blue amber. They start mentioning the word BAE, B-A-E, which stands for blue amber eyes. So they were talking about BAE. They were talking about BAE projects. Yeah. me see something real quick.
So, let's see.
Babe.
All right. What is the correct scientific name for the ball python? Python molurus bivitatus, Morelia spilota, Python regius, or Morelia viridis?
Sounds like Harry Potter slogans. Morelia Spitovia.
So, Python molurus bivitatus, Morelia spilota. I'm probably butchering this. Python regius or Morelia viridis?
Do you know the answer, hon?
Only time will tell.
I was going to ask you to guess, but do you know the answer?
Well, what I guessed was wrong.
Okay. So you do know the answer now.
No, I only guessed one answer.
Oh, but then you saw the right answer, didn't you?
No, it didn't show me.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Scientific name of the ball python.
Okay, I'm trying to translate this question. What if it's a blizzard as well, or the gecko's all white?
Oh, yeah, so if it's a... Forgive me, I forgot to mention this. If it's a blizzard, the way that you tell that a blizzard is an eclipse is that... Okay, so blizzard, no eclipse, just blizzard, can have all black eyes. It can manipulate the pattern of the eyes. It can have like 50% black eyes, fully shaded in black eyes, or partial black eyes. The eclipse can be the exact same thing. So, I've only ever seen blizzards with full eyes, so that's like kind of an indicator to me. And also super snows with full eyes. Or I had a blizzard one time that was one black eye and one normal eye. In that case, I don't know off the top of my head, because I don't work with blizzard a lot. I don't know that you can tell the difference between a blizzard and a blizzard eclipse 100% unless you've proven by breeding out that gecko or by knowing the parents of that gecko. But if the gecko is an albino, you can absolutely tell the difference. If you have a blizzard that is an albino, the eyes will be shaded in red. The eyes, if it's eclipse, if you have a blizzard, albino, eclipse, the eyes will be shaded in red. Either 50% or partially. Or to some degree, you will see shading of red. If the gecko has black eyes and is an albino blizzard, black eyes, that means that the black eyes are coming from the blizzard gene. If the gecko is blizzard albino and has red eyes, that's a Diablo Blanco. If it's Tremper, that's the gecko that has eclipse in it. So, eclipse, when mixed with albino, is easy because the eyes will become all red.
And the answer is Python regius.
Did anybody get it?
Yes, we had 2 people.
Good job. I think Regius means like king or something in another language.
Yeah, Latin. Okay. Yeah, they're also called royal pythons, hence the name in Latin. The longest, true or false, the longest living ball python on record was over 48 years old when it died. True or false? The longest living ball python on record was over 48 years old when it died. So, you have requests to see Honeydew, of course, and Jaden wants to see your Diablo Blanco.
Alright.
Always makes me hungry for Diablo queso.
Completely unrelated, but yeah. So here is our Blizzard, Tremper, Snow Giant. So basically it's a snow giant Diablo Blanco. And of course it's going to close its eyes because albinos have extra light sensitivity. So I can't get you to see the eye, and I don't want to like hurt the animal by trying to do it too much. But if you were to look at the eye of this animal, it's all red. That's because of the Eclipse gene.
The only thing about the ring is that it whites the animal out when you put it too close.
It does. It does do that, yeah. Unless I get super close, then it makes the animal look pretty good. Or if I'm farther away.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
The answer is true. The longest living ball python was over 48 years old.
Wow, that's amazing. That's another reason why ball pythons are so popular is their longevity. You could breed them forever. So here's Honeydew. Let's see if we could get a good shot of Honeydew's pattern and color manipulation up close.
Yeah, that's good.
She's much more orange in person, but of course we have a camera. We just have to make do with what we got. All right, we'll do 5 more minutes. Then, Whitney and I are going to take a break. We're going to eat some food. We're going to catch up on the latest episode of The Bachelor this week, The Bachelorette. And then I'll be back to cleaning geckos later tonight. Unless I'm just super tired and I just push it off till tomorrow.
Effie.
Sweet girl. Where's sweet girl?
She's right there sniffing around.
She's snooping. Hi, Snoop Snoop. You want to come say hi to everyone? Our cat won't let us hold her, so I can't show her. So the new lighting system I have right now is pretty cool because you can go up and down with the camera, but Brenda, see you, Brenda.
Bye, Brenda.
Bye. Were they like, bye, Felicia?
There's a vine.
Oh, I don't even remember Vines.
I know. Who remembers vines? But, I mean, like, what is the difference between a vine and a TikTok?
Oh,
There's
TikTok is so much better.
But there's no difference.
A Vine can only be 6 seconds. A TikTok can be 60 seconds. And a TikTok allows, I think, much more editing potential. That's interesting that 6 seconds, we didn't like, in a world where the attention span is getting quicker, 6 seconds was still too quick. People didn't like it. They're like, we need more. Any last questions or anything, hon? Just monitor the chat for now, and I'm gonna end it.
That's what I'm doing.
I'm gonna end it after this next tub. I got one more tub I'm cleaning, guys, and then we will end the stream there. Keep an eye out for the next couple of videos. We are getting 13 new snakes tomorrow. I'm gonna be glad to shoot a video of them and kind of show them, and then I'll have to edit that video and then put it up. But really excited about those. Gonna make a couple extra leopard gecko videos this week on different topics. I have a bunch of topics written down. I'm going to look over them and just kind of game plan which ones to hit. So, yeah, so the email is geekygeckocreations@gmail.com. geekygeckocreations@gmail.com. You can also find that email on our website, geekygeckocreations.com. But our email is geekygeckocreations@gmail.com.
All right, trivia. Why are ball pythons known as royal pythons?
Why are ball pythons known as royal pythons?
Put your guesses in the chat.
Guesses in now, because I'm just about to finish cleaning this gecko. And then I need to take a little break. I don't know why. They're not the biggest python in Africa. They might be the most common. Okay, that's my guess, is that they're the most popular in Africa. They're the most populated. So,
Apex. Why you gotta be so smart? Yeah, because chieftains in Africa would wear the ball pythons as jewelry.
oh. Apex, you're too good for this platform, brother. But really good job. How many brownie points is he at now?
I don't know. Too many to count.
I forget how many points you're at, Apex, but you're... I thought he was at like 1,000 last time or something. But that sounds really high. 85 points. Good job. How were we giving you points? I think it was like in increments of like 5 or something. All right, 5 points for that one. So now you're at 90. 1,000? Yeah, we'll have to give you a goal for 1,000.
What?
Oh, Jade. So Jaden knew the answer too. That's good. You guys are smart. But so I'm gonna call it there, hon. You want to say goodbye with me on camera?
Sure. Come on, Effie, let me hold you.
Our cat's meowing. But thank you all you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. I'm really excited as this company grows to continue knowing you guys and bringing you along for the journey. Whitney's on her tippy toes now. What, in 100? Yeah, just make sure you keep track of all the points. How many was it for a free gecko? I'll have to give that some thought, Apex. I'll give it some thought. And we'll definitely see what we can do there. But yeah, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break, get some water, food, watch some Bachelorette. I don't know if any of you guys like that show, but I like getting in some drama. But yeah, lots of cool stuff to come. So please stay in touch with us. Keep up to date with our Instagram. I show the latest photos and kind of like inquisitive posts and stuff that I make on there. And also, if you want another shirt, let me know. I'm about to put in an order for another shirt. Check out Instagram for all the new logo colors and different shirt colors that we have. So thank you guys. Love you guys. Have a great night. Happy Veterans Day tomorrow. Does everybody have it off tomorrow?
No.
Oh, okay. So sorry if you don't have it off tomorrow. Thank you to all our veterans that defend our freedom to have reptiles. But love you guys to have reptiles, to have a life, right? Anything. Love you guys. Peace, and I'll see you in the next video.
A geeky
Gecko, great
day.
day.
Can't believe he forgot that.
I forgot it.
He must be tired.
See you.